Mesechta bava basra-daf gimmel amud aleph. We're starting from the words lishna achrina. The top line was chus. My father, Rab Shalom Dei Bem, Rab Chaim Yitzchak Zal, was chus. My mother Saras Bas Blum later Chasam Shalom Teves. Was chus. Shnei Zalman ben Shloimeh Shnei Zalman ben Chana. Mishpachta was chus. Shnei Zalman ben Sarah Mishpachti. Alle brachs من alle bistov betu v'hanida v'hanigla. Okay. Lishna achrina amri la. Lishna achrina. There's another nusich in the diyun, like the opposite of what we learned yesterday. Svarua, the Bnei Yeshiva thought. Right. So what are you trying to say? Amri la. No. There's another version of the previous discussion. Before you said Hezek, Re'iyah Lashmei Hezek, and now we're going to learn according to the Lishna Achrina as Hezek Re'iyah Shmei Hezek. Zakti Yimada Svarua, the Bnei Yeshiva thought, my mechitza, what does mechitza now Mishnah mean? Look, division. Like it says in the pasuk about Tihi Mechatzas Ha'eda. And there was the division of the Eda, meaning the dividing the spoils from the Mechames Midya. So there, Mechatzas, Mechitza, Melashon, there meant division. They given the Ratzu, and since they were both maskim to divide the Chatzah, even though they didn't make a tonight to build a wall, we build a wall of Avadim against each one's will. That means that the Mishnah says once they made an agreement to divide the Chatzah, they already become mechuyev to be mishtativ in the building of the wall and space, giving up their space for the wall. Alma, so you see Hezek is Shmei Hezek, that Hezek is Shmei Hezek. Exactly. Gemara Eima my mechitza say, what does mechitza mean? Guda wall. The Tanya that we learned in the Braisa, mechitza kerem shenibtza im Elohim. When they get you to the mechitza kerem, like we had in the previous daf, the Baal HaKerem is obligated to build a wall because either he needs the four amas around the kerem to work on, so he shouldn't destroy the state for. But when he has a wall, he can go up to the wall, of course. If he build a wall, or you say because of mamish kelayim, because the kerem sprutzt. Anyway, the wall of the kerem that fell, the balasada could say to the balakerem, build a wall. If the wall broke again, so the balasada says to the balakerem a second time, build a wall. If the balakerem had from building a wall again, and he didn't build it, then the kerem asked the tvur, and because you only need one kerem out of 200 of tvur to ask it into kalayim, and the balakerem will be b'chay b'achri yusa. The bottom line is, what do you see? That mechitza means a wall. And since mechitza means a wall, how are we going to touch the Mishnah? The time it says Hashut and Sharatzu, right? The time of the Ratzu. The whole reason why they have to build a wall because they agreed to build a wall. Haloi Ratzu. But if they weren't masking befedish to do so, one cannot be mechayiv the other. So you see, Hezek Lashmei Hezek says the Gemara. The Gemara explains. If so, if mechitza now Mishnah means taka kaisel like you want to say now, why does the Mishnah say b'nei kaisel? You already said hashut and sharatzalas mechitza they want to make a wall. It should it should have said they want to build it. What do you have to say the kaisel? We know we're talking about a kaisel. What is the mashmois of the word mechitza in our Mishnah? Plukta division. In fact, the Gemara yihach sharatzalas mechitza. If so, why does the Mishnah say sharatzalas mechitza that they wanted to make a wall, if it means a division, because you slugged up, it can mean a wall. So if it means a division, so you should have used the real lashon for division. Like people say, Ton Navid, Plukta, come and let's make a division, even though the Lashon that the Tana used was not as meduyak. So the Gemara asks on the Biyah that mechitza means division. So according to that, the Mishnah is teaching us hezek riyah shmei hezek, he hezek riyah shmei hezek. If hezek riyah means shmei hezek, because you're learning ashut shatz las mechitza, that they wanted to make a division, then they're automatically forced to build beinus because they have to build a wall. In fact, the Gemara ma'yeh yuratzu. Why does the Mishnah have to say the chiyuv in building the wall is because they wanted to divide the chatzah? I feel a later tsunami. Even if they're not asking to divide the chatzah, each one of the shutvim could obligate his friend or be mechayv his friend to divide and build a wall between them, because each one of the shutvim has a tviyah, could be teveya for the division of the shutvis in the chatzah, and to be mechayv to build a wall together in order to block the hezekriya. Amar Rabbi Abba. Amar Rabbi Yechna, Mishnah say no. Our Mishnah is kishem badin chalukah. It's talking about that there wasn't enough to be mechayiv a chalukah. Like we learned yesterday, in order to make a chalukah, each one has to have 4 amis. But who deratzu? It's only when could the chalukah happen? Only if they had an agreement. In fact, you might make a mashma. What's it? So what does he come to teach us? This what's the hisafa? What is he coming to add over here? By a chatz shem badir chalukah that is divided by haskama, and think about it because the chileis beidin, the chileis beidin chalukah kiratzu pligi. When in the chatz there's no din chalukah, but if they're asking to divide, they divide. So he says that's what you're coming to teach us. In fact, that even though there doesn't have a din chalukah, if they want to divide, they can divide. Tanina. This halacha we already learned in another Mishnah. In Masai, when is the din that we don't divide? Adav shein by din chalukah bisman shein shneim reitzim. Only when they both don't want. Aber bisman shneim reitzim, and in a time when they both want, afilu pasmikan chalkin. Even if it's less than the shear of chalukah you divide. The Bach omits when it says over there my kamashman, and then comes the words lechiles beidin chalukah. The Bach omits those words, and it says Pashat. This din kishem badin chaluk v'hudaratzu is he right away he goes straight to the kasha. My kamash, what does he come to teach us that you divide it? We already learned it in the Mishnah. And for the Gemara email Hasam, if this additional halacha would have if we would have learned this additional halacha from the later Mishnah on Yud Aleph Amar Aleph, I would have thought even if they were asking to divide, but they don't have to build the type of a wall that the Mishnah says. I would have thought, even with reeds, it's enough. That's why the Mishnahs come to teach us. By a chatz shein badin chalukah, that the din will be that you divide it. Each one of the shut can be mechayiv the other one to be mishtat in building a full wall to save from hezekriya. In fact, you might have listened. If so, let the Tana learn only our Mishnah and not learn the Mishnah on Yud Aleph Amar Aleph. And the Gemara Sefer Yitzchalei. I needed the Sefer. Why? Because in the Sefer of that Mishnah talks about Kisvei Kodesh, meaning that Sefer Kodesh, which you're goylel, Afa Pisha Shneim Roitzim. Even though they both want to divide it, lo yachleiku, you don't divide it. That's why the Mishnah had to go back and repeat this same Mishnah, the same halacha, to divide adav shein by din chalukah. What? That the Mishnah went back on the halacha that the askama lachloik adav shein by din chalukah helps to mechayeves. And is mechayiv. You listening? Even though shekavar lamdua, he says, even though we learned that already the same din in the first Mishnah, but he's come to teach us a chidush of in the sefer that by kisvei kodesh, just even though they have an agreement to divide, it doesn't help. We don't divide. So now we'll skip the Lishna Achina and we'll go till they go to B'mai Ukimta. Don't worry, there's a lot more to learn. In fact, you might B'mai Ukimta L'masnisin. So what case is our Mishnah talking about? B'sheim Badin Chalukah. In a case of a Chatzah Sheim Badin Chalukah. In fact, you might be Chatzah Sheim Badin Chalukah. If our Mishnah is talking about a case, a Chatzah that doesn't have the amount of Amis to do a Din Chalukah, Kiratz Mayavi, what difference does it make if they agreed to divide? Nahat Behu, they could always back out. Then that Bechuiv to divide. So how could they be Mechayiv one? How could one be Mechayiv the other to build a wall in between them? Others ask this kasha just on the one that says Mechitza means Chalukah. And, let him be able to back out. There's nothing holding him by it. But Taisa says the kasha is even according to the one that says Mechitza means Kaisel. I'm sorry, right. Rashi says it goes even according to the one that learns in the Mishnah that Mechitza means Kaisel, even though they had an agreement to build a wall. But still, since he needs the agreement of his friend, and if he wants, he can back out. According to Tesis, no. Once they made an agreement, that's a lien. Okay, Zaktu Yimad, by the Kaisel. If you say Mechitza means Kaisel, and they agree to make a wall, then he cannot back out. And Tesis says, why by wall, according to the Mandi Amar that says Mechitza is good, they cannot back out, because Tesis says they were Mishabed and Nechasim towards the building of the Kaisel. But according to Mandi Amar that says Plukta, it means a division, it's only Kinyan, it's Kinyan Dvarim Be'almahu. Right? Okay. Zakti Yimada. Amar Rabbi Yasi answered in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Shekarim Yadam, that they were Mekabel a Kinyan one from the other. There was a Maisa Kinyan, and therefore none of them could back out from the Haskama. You look in 32, he says there was Kinyan Suda, Kinyan Chalipin that was involved over here, and that's why they cannot back out. What difference does it make that they were Makabel Kinyan? Kinyan the Barabi Almahu. This is a Kinyan of words, stam words. A Kinyan only holds to Dvarim Sheyesh B'hem Mamish, like a Mecha, Matana, Shibut, but not for words. Because they were maskim to divide, that's words. So even though they had an agreement to divide through a kinyan chalipin, each one should be able to back out. Rashi says, "Shafilu kinyan chalipin shenema lekayim kol davar einay moyel liknes milim won't help to be kinda with the kinyan chalipin won't help to obligate agreement of words. If it's a kinyan that a person is being mechayiv mamein to his friend, then the kinyan helps. It's not kinyan dvarim, but a kinyan to promise that he's going to do a pi'ula, some kind of action, that's a kinyan dvarim, and it doesn't help. A person cannot obligate himself or obligate his friend to do a specific maisa, right? Because it's only dvarim. What? When does he have? And for the Gemara, so the Kabbalah of Ravasi in the name of Rabbi Yochanan was that the Mishnah is not talking about they made a kinyan to divide, rather that each one was koinam from the other, his chelik in the chotzer. One made a chazak in the eastern side, and one made on the western side. So that's how the kinyan was done, through a chazaka. Neither of them could. I don't know if he means a chazaka. He made a kinyan in the chelik of the second person, kegoin, that this guy chose the eastern zebarar chelik mizachi, and this one is better chelik ma'aravi. So by being mevar, which part of the sada, that's already more of a shibut. So, and here he says, Bekinya Chazaka, dainu b'maisa tikum bekarka. They made some kind of, no, I'm sorry, no, that's the next one. Each one was Mabari, his corner, his side of the field. And through this, each one was kind of the schus that his friend has in that chelek. That's how he was kind of, by saying, okay, I'm taking this chelek, you're taking that chelek. And from then, each one doesn't have the bias over the friends once they made it clear and they were mevar which chelek they're taking with a kinyan. Ravashi Ama Kigoin even more so. After they made an agreement to divide halach ze besoich shaloi, this guy went into his half of the field, the hechzik, and he made a chazaka, and it was kind of with a kinyan chazaka, like he dug a little bit in that karka. And this one went into his half, and he did kind of a chazaka of digging, and that's how they completed the division. And therefore, neither of them could back out. And each one could be mechayiv his friend to build a wall between them for to block Hezekiah. Makim Shanaga lived days, we learned in the Mishnah, in a place where people have the minhag to building whatever it is. So the Gemara says, Mashpiyah. Gvil is talking about on plain stones or on that they weren't chiseled. Gazis, Haino Avnei the Mishapya. Gazis are chiseled stones and smoothened out. Like it says in the pasuk, Kol Elavanim Yekaris Kemidas Gazis. All these were precious stones according to the measures of the chiseling out of the stones, or trimmed up stones. Kvisin archi. Kvisin are half-size bricks. 43, he says, Chatzi Lebeina, Ein Lebeina Begedel Chatzi Lebeina Regila, which is a tef of a Chatzi, and Ubi HaKesel, and the word, 1 second, so he says over here, Kvisin is Archi, is a half a brick, Ulebeinin, which is a tef and a half. Ulebeinin are whole bricks, but the Kvisin, the half a bricks that you have to put together, you need another tefach to combine them. How do you know Gvil are stones that are not chiseled? And this extra tefach is going of thickness is for the protruding edges that it has. Dilma pag the gazisu. Maybe Gvil is a half a stone of gazis, which is smoothened out, no protrusions. And this that you have the extra tefach is because you're talking about a half a stone, a half a gazis. And now between the two sides, Kid the Kamirina Kvisin Achi and Levain and Livni, just like you said, Kvisin is a half a brick and Levain is a whole brick. So too, Gazis, a Gvil is a half a stone, a half a Gazis. And this extra tefach is pasha to connect the two sides of the Gazis. Amalei. So Rashi said, by the time according to your svara, Kvisin Archim in Alan. How do you know Kvis means a brick? Only have to say because it's halach l'mashmeh Sinai. Here he says, let me see, 48. I'm assuming it means because it's halach l'mashmeh Sinai. No, that's how they were mekabel it. I'm sorry, they were mekabel it so from the Rebbes. Gvil nami, so too, Gvil, that we'll say it wasn't chiseled and it has protruding edges, and that's also that how we were mekabel from how they were mekabel from the Rebbes. Ikadami, others say a different nusach. How do you know kvisa means a half a brick? And this extra tefach is because you have to combine the two half bricks. Still, the mic kvisa, perhaps, maybe, what does kvisa mean? Stones that were not chiseled away and smoothened out. And this extra tefach of the brick is for the protruding parts of the brick. Just like he said, gvil. The extra tefach is because it has the protruding edges, so too you could say benegate to the bricks by kfisin. Gazis avnu shapyon. Gazis are stones of that are smoothened out. And this extra tefach by kfisin really is a full a full brick. It's a regular levena, but it's not chiseled out, and it has protruding edges, and that's why it's extra tefach over levena. Amalei Ravashi said out. Amalei Ravashi said Ravach. The time according to your svara, gvil avnim loy mishapnim enolan. How do you know the gvil is stones that were not chiseled out and it has protruding edges? Only because that's how it was mikubel from their rebbes. So too, by kfisin, they're going to say it's half a levanim and not full levanim that are not smoothened out. Rather, it's half a levanim because it was accepted from the rebbes, just like you knew for gvil that it's loy meshapyon because it was mikubel from the rebbes. Abaya says no. From here we have a raya kol beinei urvei tefach. When you have to combine two half a stones, you need a minimum of a tefach in order to combine it. Says Gemara hani mili. When were these words said? Betina, only if it's mud. But if it's such richsa which is mixed with pebbles, then bayitvei. Then it needs more than a tefach, because since you don't have enough cement to connect them together, because you have in it pebbles. So you can say that no, that honey mili berichsa. This Hayrava tefach was said by Richsa when they filled the space with teeth mixed with small pebbles. But if it's mud, then you don't need a full tefach to combine them. Should we say by Gaz the Chol Amas Goiva, that for every 4 amas in the height, you need 5 tfachim in the width, the thickness of the stone. And if you're not going to have 5 in the thickness, then the wall will not be able to stand. In fact, the Gemara of Amatraxin. Okay, there is the Amatraxin. So this Amatraxin is made up of 3 words. Amma, that's for the wall. That was an Amma. Traxin is 6 tvachim. Trak is which means to close, and so the Amma is 6 thick. Trak, which means to close, like in Truka Galei, to close the gates. Okay, so the expression of Amma Traxin is the Amma that closed between the luchis and the, what do you call it, the heichla and the kodesh hakadoshim. Okay, sagt die Gemara. Kodesh Shabbat, kodesh Amatraxin, the kodesh that Shlomo Abnel built from Avnei Gozlis, that he separated between the kodesh and kodesh hakadoshim based on Hamikdash Harishan. The Avoya Gavoya Tlas Nama, there was 30 yamas high. Lo have a push yellowish pushchi, and the width was only 6 tvachim. We're common, nevertheless, we know it stood. And the Gemara, even the Seder, since it had that Kaisla had a Bidyan Shlema, had an extra tefach in the width, in the thickness, koi. That's why the Amatraxim was able to stand up to 30 yamas. Okay, it doesn't matter. Once you have that extra tefach, it doesn't have to be for every 4 amas another tefach or whatever, another. Whatever it needs, you say for every 4 amas you need it 5 tvachim, you're not going to say for every 8 amis, so you should have needed much thicker. 24 tvachim. Zalman, 1 second, I got to move the car. Zog your mother. So, Ubemigdash Sheni, my time, lay over the Amatraxin. In fact, your mother, in the second base Hamikdash, why didn't they make Amatraxin of Gazis, the wall that separates between Kodesh and Kedashim, and the Gemara Kikoi, Betrasin Koi? When could the wall of 5 tvachim of Gazis hold up a wall of the Amatraxin up to 30 amis? Tvei Koi, but in the second base Hamikdash, it was 40 amis. That's why you were unable to build a Kisla Avanim upon which, and that's why instead they put up a Reiches. How do we know from the Pesukim that the Hechel Bayesheni was higher than the first one? And the Gemara because it says in the Pasuk, Godel Yiyah Kvoid Habayis Achrein Min Arishein, that the honor of this second base Hamikdash will be greater than the first one. Rav Shmuel, Rabbi Yechon, Rabbi Loza. It's a machlekes of Rav and Shmuel. Others say it's Rabbi Yechon, Rabbi Loza. That the pasuk Chadama one says that the second base Hamikdash will be bigger bebinyan in the building itself. The Chadama one says that it's going to be it's going to be bigger in Bishanim in more years. 420 versus 410 of the first base Hamikdash. Second base Hamikdash was for 420 years. And they're both true. The second base Hamikdash was greater than the first one. They're both true. Base Hamikdash Hasheni was greater than the one side in the height and side in the years. And the machlekes is only in the Pirush of the Pasuk. And now he brings down 2. Let them make a wall of 30 amas of gazis, bebinyan, of stone, and the rest, let them make a curtain. Why do they have to be mevatel, the amatraxin, completely? And for the Gemara Kikoi, tlasin amhosa anami, when the amatraxin would stand by Sarishan, 30 amas, agav tiko maziba havakoi. Says the Gemara, it stood only on the account of the ceiling and the plaster weighing on it. Meaning a ceiling of beams rested upon the amatraxin, and a layer of plaster was spread across the beams, so the weight of the ceiling stabilized that partition and held it back from falling. So the Gemara, and without having this roof, or without having this ceiling and plaster, the amatraxin wouldn't be able to stand good. It wouldn't be able to stand. So do whatever as much you're able to build with gazis, and the rest pareiches make pareiches. And for the Gemara Amabaya Gemiri, we learned that the mechitza ben kedesh lekedesh kedashim is ikulu bebinyan, ikulu bepareiches. It can only either be entirely a gazis wall or entirely a curtain, but you cannot have a combination of the two. 1 minute. Zakti mar ikolo bebidyin is nomet min hamikdash harishon. We learned from the first mikdash that there was a kaisla avanim between the kodesh and the kodesh hakadashim. Ikolo bepareiches min hamishkan that was built through Moshe. That he used the pareiches as a separation between the Kodesh and Kedashim. In fact, Ashayla, Hein Vesidan, are the measurements of the width, including the wall plus the plastering, or perhaps the measurement is without the plastering. Rav Nachman Rabbi Yitzchak said, it's mistaber, it's reasonable to say it's the walls with the plastering. Because if you enter, or if your mind would think that's without the plastering, let the Mishnah teach the measure of plaster that's needed as well. Gamish, you said, in order to know the shear shetach of the karka, b'per mamish, how much each shutav has to give away for the wall. No, only for sure we can learn from this that the thickness of the seed of the plaster, which is not mentioned in the Mishnah, is Hemesidam, because we were considering the stone wall, the stones together with the plastering. Says Gemara, it's not a raya. I could always say to you it was without the plastering. Only because the thickness of the seed that they used for around the stones wasn't the shear of a tavach. That's why the Mishnah didn't bother to learn the size of the seed. In fact, the about Ktani Bilaveinin, but we learned the Fedish by Levainin, each one gives a tavach umechza. So you see, you're learning even parts of a tefach. You're not only learning the shear of tefach. Says the Gemara, says the Gemara, there it's different because there you could combine the two half a tefachim and it makes it into one tefach. So the Gemara Toshma, and the Gemara tries to be patient to Suffolk. If like this, Hakodesh Amnu, the Kodesh that we learned in the previous Mishnah in Eidavin, and Yud Aleph Amar Aleph, that which is Machshir the Mavoi. So that kind of a beam, he tells you how wide does it have to be? Rachba Kidei Lekabel Ariyach. It has to be wide enough to be able to hold a half-size brick. Let's see, 13 a second. He's talking about the beam that's Machshir the Mavoi, in order to carry the mavui, it has to be wide enough to be able to hold a riach, a half a brick. Okay, he's talking about the kodesh as a heker, but to know that this is like a separate ishus. In fact, the hariyach chatz leveina shel shleisha tvachim. A riach is a chatz leveina of 3 tvachim. So there, for sure, it's talking about without seed, because you're not talking about something that you're using towards a building. You just want to measure the width. You're talking about the width. You're talking about just a brick raw. And the Gemara, Hasam berav rivasa. There in Eidavin, the Mishnah is referring to large bricks, which are 3 tefachim wide without the plastering. They can I'll bring a right because the Ketana shall shlesh tefachim. The Mishnah had to say what kind of a brick it was. He had to emphasize 3 tefachim, Mekal the Kezuta, implying that there exist smaller sizes, smaller than 3 tefachim. So when the Mishnah says shleisha tefachim, our Mishnah, which doesn't specify the full size of the brick of 3 tefachim, so therefore he must be talking about the smaller size, and together with the plaster makes it 3 tefachim. Shmamina. He says you could learn out from the Mishnah of Eidavin that our Mishnah's shear was with the seed. A person shouldn't demolish a shul till he builds another shul. Others say because of pshia. What's the pshia? The b'chshash that maybe illness will happen, that they won't be able to build it immediately, and then they'll be negligent and won't build it. Others say mishum tsaluyei. Others say pashit because of davening, meaning that during this period of time that they're going to be rebuilding, there won't be any place for people to daven. So Rav Chisda said, no, that's no good. You can't build the shul before you have another one up already. In fact, what's the chilik lemaisa? It's talking about where there is another shul to daven in, and therefore, hold 1 second. Sagt die Gemara ikmenayu. The chilik is where they have another shul in where, or binyan where to daven for that time. So according to the first reasoning, still also, because we have to be concerned that they'll be negligent. They won't build build up the shul again. But according to the second one, according to the second taina, it's mutter to throw down the old one since you have another place with the daven. Excuse me. Mereba Bazuta demolished and built a new summer shul during the winter. It seems like they had two shulim. And then they demolished it and built a new winter shul during the summer, since they had a whole time a place with the daven. So the Mereba Bazuta allowed to, in the season that they had a shul, to demolish the shul, that the unseasonable shul. Okay, Zag the Gemara. Amalei Ravina Ravashi. So Ravina said to Ravashi, Gavu Zuzi Umachase. If they collected money for the new construction, and let's say they put it in an escrow account. What's the din? Since the money is already here by the Gaboyim on the escrow account, could they now destroy the shul? Or even in such a case, we have to be concerned. Amalei, so Ravashi said to Ravina, Dilma misamilahu pidyon shvuim yavalei. Listen, that's a greater mitzvah. Maybe the mitzvah of pidyon shvuim will arise, and the gizbarim will have to give this money to do pidyon shvuim. So you see, even when you have it in escrow, it means nothing. Even though you have money for construction, that means nothing. In fact, how about Shirige? He asked him again, Shirige livni v'hadrei hudri umarsek shuri. If the bricks for the new shul are piled up, and I don't understand, piled up umachasei. What's machasei? Oh, machasei, and they were and these boards hudri umachsei. Hudri means piled up. Marsek shuri. Shuri are the beams. Machasei means they were smoothing out the beams, and they were all ready to go. That's what he wanted to say, that it's all ready. What's the din? Amalei, he answered again, maybe the mitzvah of Pidyon Shvuim will arise, and they'll sell all these materials and give the money to those that are holding the Shvuyim to redeem, to let them free. In fact, so even after they build the wall, a new shul, not wall, build the whole shul, they'll have to maybe sell the shul. People don't sell places where they live. One second. And says the Gemara, and this was not said, Ella, only that meaning that this is against permanently, meaning he says, let me make sure I'm saying, of removing the old Beis HaKnesses until they build a new one, only if they didn't see a crack, but if there were cracks seen in it, and the building was in danger, so and the fire department said, get out, I'm just joking, the townspeople could demolish it and build a new shul, since the old shul is unsafe. He saw cracks in the shul of Masmach Chasya. He immediately demolished it. And then, in order to assure that they're going to build the shul again, he brought his bed to the construction site. And he didn't remove his bed until the gutters, the roof gutters, were there. Only till the last detail was built, that's when he moved his bed. How could Baba Buta give advice to destroy the Beis Hamikdash to Hudis? A person is not allowed to demolish a shul until he builds another shul. Others say he saw a crack. The when you're dealing with Malchus, a king is different, because a king doesn't go back on his promise. Shmuel said, If a king says, I will uproot mountains, he's going to uproot the mountains. He's not going to back down. So he knew that Hurdis will not back out. Hudis after the base Chashmonai Haba. Hudis was originally a slave in the house of the Chashmonai. Not my base into Nakis. He set his eyes on this young girl, Yemachat from the Chashmonai family. Yemachat Shamahu Gavra Baskal Dama. One day Hudis heard this Baskal. Kol Abdul Marad Hashta Matzlach. Any Eved that will revolt against his masters, he'll succeed. Kam Katlun Lakul Marvose. He got up and killed all his masters. Sharilah Nuksa. And he kept this girl alive. When this girl saw that Hudis wants to marry her, she ran up to the roof and she screamed out loud and said, whoever comes in the future years and says, I am a descendant of the Beis Chashmonai Avdo, he's Eved. There was only me, this girl that's left over. And this girl, it fell off from the roof to the ground, meaning that she died, and there's nothing left of her. He preserved the body for 7 years in Hanik. Others say that he lived with her. He lived with her as that corpse. Others say he didn't live with her. According to those that said that he lived with her, this that he preserved the body was just to satisfy his yetzara, his desires. And those that say he didn't live with her, this that he preserved her was so that it should be said that he married the daughter of a king. I'm going to stop over here. I'm just going to tell you in short that Rabbi Hirschsprung said that he went to Rabbi Shapiro and asked him. The Talmidim went to Rabbi Shapiro and asked him if they could put a tanur in the shul to heat up the shul. So Rabbi Shapiro says he has to go to the Chachava. He was a Chachava Chassid. He went to the Chachava Rebbe, and when he came into Chachava Rebbe, the Rebbe was saying about a building, a basis Knesses and laying Matana in them. So he told the Chassidim, if I was a real Chassid, I would say he's a Navi. But I can tell you, he's a Gewaltig Chacham. He knew that if a Rav is coming to his house, he's coming for a Shaila for the Tzibur. Anyway, Bekitzer, so he paskin because of the Chacham Rebbe that you could put a Tanur. But Pinchas Hirschsprung said no, because it says that you need two shulim, two separate shulim. Is mashma, you need a winter shul and a summer shul. And the winter shul, obviously, it's not because of having an oven in there. The winter shul was made with smaller windows, like Rashi says, versus the summer shul, which was made with big windows. Yossi.